Hello everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis. Welcome to this video lesson. We're going to create another if-then type of project dealing with military time. So I went ahead and clicked File, New Project, and of course we're going to select C#, Windows Forms, Application. We're going to say C# Selection Structure, Military Time. Alright, so let me go ahead and wait for just a second or two. We're going to open up our toolbox and we're going to drag and drop a button, a label, and a text box. So let's go over here. We'll drag and drop a button, a label, and also a text box. I'm going to make all of these 12 points. So I'm going to go to Properties and go to the font property, and specifically over here where it says size, I'm going to type in 12. Alright, and now let's go ahead and drag the label to the upper left hand corner. And I'm going to change the text property to military time. Military time. And then I'm going to move a text box right next to that so that the user can enter the military time. Now, just if you haven't heard of military time, the clock continues past 12. So 1 o'clock would be 1300 hours. 2 o'clock would be 1400 hours. And it would go all the way to 24:59. 0 is considered midnight, and midnight is considered the beginning of the next day. So if I said 2000 hours, that would be 8 o'clock, or 4 hours before midnight. All right, so let me go ahead and drag this button and make it a little bit bigger. Let's change the text property to submit. And then finally, I'm going to place a label down here. So I'll select this label, copy and paste. First of all, I got to be able to resize that, so I'm going to change the auto size property to false, and then I'll resize this something like this. Oh, that looks pretty good. I got to give this thing a border, so we'll go to border style, and I'll select fixed single. That's fine. I don't like the positioning of the text, so I'm going to drag down over here to the text align property, and I'll select this guy over here, which is middle center. And when middle center is selected, yeah, that looks better. And I'm going to get rid of the text property, so delete that. Let's resize the form. I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks pretty good. I'm going to get rid of the minimize and the maximize box. And then I'm going to change this to sleep or party. Well, that should be very familiar with you college students. It's a big decision that you have to make. Should you sleep or should you party? Well, let's say that maybe like beyond 8 o'clock you got to go to sleep. Before that, yeah, you could party. There's time to party because you're trying to get A's in Professor Solis's computer science course. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's go ahead and give names to the various items. So over here, we're going to say for this text box, that's going to be txt military time. Military time. Enter. Okay, of course, this is going to be the btn submit button. Oh man, I did this again. Well, I'm glad that I'm making this mistake here in front of you, because here I am moving too fast, talking too fast, and I accidentally clicked on this button, and as a result of double clicking on this button, it took me into the code area, and I didn't give it a name. It says the name is button 1, which is true. This thing is button 1, but I should have single clicked it. So you know what I'm going to do? Instead of dealing with this button, let me just go ahead and delete it. So let me just say right click delete, and I'm just going to drag a new button over here. I shouldn't be doing that, right? I shouldn't be clicking things so quickly here. Okay, so I don't need this, so I'm going to get rid of that code because that's not in existence anymore. I'll take this button and resize it. Got to be careful here. All right, let me change the font size again to 12 points. Very good. And that's supposed to say submit. And over here, we'll say btn submit. Okay. Looks good. So let me see here. I've got this guy, txt military time, btn submit, and this guy over here is going to be lbl result, rather. lbl result. Save your work, and we don't need the toolbox anymore. Let's go ahead and double click on the button. So now it says btn submit, which is correct. That's what it's supposed to be. And I'm going to say declarations, get user input, calculations output. All right. In terms of the declarations, you should be asking yourself, what does the user give to you and what must you give back to the user? Well, the user is supposed to give you a military time. So over here, we'll say that's going to be an integer, and the user is going to give you military time. Okay. What do you have to give back to the user? You have to give back to the user a message, and that's going to be displayed over here on the label. So we'll say string, and we'll just simply call this message. Okay, and then in the get user input section, well, let's go ahead and get the military time and put it into this variable military time, and that's going to be coming from a text box, namely this text box here. So what we'll do is we'll say convert dot to string. And what am I going to convert to string? Well, I know it's in the txt. There it is, txt military time, tab, dot text. I am getting the text from this text box. I'm converting it to a string and putting it into military time. Actually, what am I doing? Converting it to string. This is supposed to be convert to int32. Sorry about that. Int32. Because I'm putting it into an integer. Sorry about that. So convert to int32 this string. I guess that's what I was trying to think of. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and work on the calculation. So, first of all, just a quick note. The if statement is called a selection structure. Well, the usage of the word a implies that there's other selection structures. And there are. We're going to talk about those in future video lessons. But for right now, anytime I say selection structure, you can think of the if statement. That's a selection structure. You have to select something. And the way that you do that is with the word if. If the military time is greater than or equal to 2,000, if that's true, excuse me, then we'll say message is going to be time to go to bed. Now, if that's not the case, then that's what the else section is for. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say time to party. And end it with a semicolon. So this, we call this the Boolean expression, or the predicate. Does this evaluate to true or false? Because if it's true, do the statement immediately underneath. If it's false, then go to the else section and perform that particular statement. This and this cannot be executed at the same time. These are not simultaneous, these are mutually exclusive statements. So either this gets executed or this gets executed, but not both. So let's say, for example, that I have 1,000 hours. Is 1,000 hours greater than or equal to 2,000? No, it's not. So this is a false statement. So we jump over here to the else portion and then execute the statement right after this. So I would say, if military time is greater than or equal to 2,000, execute this statement. Otherwise, execute this statement. Okay? So that's how it works out. And the else statement is basically saying, if the above is false, then at least do what I want you to do, which is assign this string time to party to the variable message. All right, so now let me get rid of this extra space here. We can go to the output section, and lbl result.text is going to be whatever message happens to be. Message can either be this, or message can be this, but it can't be both. And what's going to determine that is the military time that is going to be entered by the user. So if I were to save my work and go ahead and start the program, give it a couple seconds, and then it's going to come up, and we're going to enter two values that will test the if statement. For example, let me enter 1,000 hours. Submit, time to party, because it's before 8 o'clock. But what if I'm at 2,100 hours? All right, time to go to bed, because it's late. So let's see what happens right at 2,000. So I hit submit. Now notice over here, if military time is greater than or equal to, well, certainly this is equal to, so that's why it says time to go to bed. But what if it's 1 minute greater? 2001. Oh, I'm sorry, not greater than, less than, sorry. So let's say 1900. So 1999. All right. Time to party. Okay, so it's less than 2000, so that means it's going to be time to party. All right, now, this really doesn't truly make sense because I don't think there's such a thing as 1999 hours. You would say, well, I guess what you would say 2050. You would say 2259 hours, and then the next thing would be after that, after 2259, that would be 2300 hours, right? That's okay. I'm just giving you an idea of this is less than 2000, and so that's why it says time to party, because the else statement would be what we would execute since this is false. 1900 is not greater than or equal to 2000, therefore execute this else statement, which is the false statement of an if statement. And that's it. All right, so this is Professor Robert Solis. I hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. See you next time.